Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I am Abe with MysticGenmara.com, and today I would like to go over just kind of I guess you call it a brief intro into the subject, and that is symbols, signs, things that are generally recognizable pretty quickly. They're universal in some instances. And it's things that we see that stick in our mind even if we can't quite figure out what they mean or why we're so fascinated by them. Symbols and signs can be messages from God's source, divine energy, from our guides in various forms. They can be hidden codes between different groups that want to keep their secrets. One of the more common, popular ones anyway, is the symbology of the Illuminati is huge in conspiracy groups. But it's because they have symbology and they're very symbolic in what they stand for. For another example is in alchemy, you have the Freemasons as well, and they have symbols that are very specific to them. In alchemy, their symbols are like the dragon, the moon, different astrological signs. In Freemasonry, you have like the apron and different tools that they use as symbols, which to them mean a great deal. But to the average person, you look at it and go, so it's a picture of a moon, it's the picture of a dragon. What's so special about an apron? But within those groups, they mean a lot. Within the scope of the Masons or the alchemists, these symbols basically mean what level you're at is a big part of it, but it's also a way to prove that you have access to the knowledge, and that can be extremely important. And I kind of play it flippantly because to me, I think a lot of this secret knowledge and secret wisdom is becoming known to the commoner just by sheer bulk of the people who actually do know what's going on. Symbols were some of the earliest forms of communication. If you look back to the ancient Sumerian cuneiform script, which was one of, if not the first, written language that we have found so far. There's been images carved in walls before that, but a cohesive language, it was probably Sumerians, at least that's from what I have found. Even today, though, it's still being discussed as to how to read the cuneiform text. There's some people that say that it's nothing but gibberish. There's other people who have very distinctive beliefs about it. One of those who had very, very, very strong beliefs about it was Zachariah Stitchin, and his books have a lot of controversy with them, but it also gives an entirely different view on the human race, where we come from, who the Anunnaki were, and all of that fun stuff, which I will go over some of that in future videos. But today we're just talking about the symbols. Pictures were painted on cave walls and carved into monoliths. The stone circles and upright T stones of Göbekli Tepe in Turkey are a prime example of this, and they predate any other written knowledge that we know of so far by several thousand years. Their belief is that they were built around 11,000 years ago, which was pre the last flood or pre-Andaluvian times. They were carved and set with tools so far superior to anything we have today, and then for unknown reasons, no one really knows why. I mean, I have a theory, but no one really knows why they were buried. What? Just to hide them. It is estimated there's over 30 of these stone circles within the area, and from what I have read, and I could be way lowball on this now, so if there's more, let me know. There's about 5 or so that have been fully uncovered, and you can look to but my theory with the reason they were buried is because the pre-Andaluvian, the pre-last flood people believed that the flood was actually coming, so they purposely hid this knowledge for a future generation. That's my theory. So it's not been proven, but that's what I think happened. You can also look to Asia for more symbols, although they seem... What did I write here? Sorry, I have notes, but I'm like, eyes are crossed. The symbols in the East are significantly different from those in the West, because in the East, in most Asian countries, dragons are symbols of good luck. They're symbols of prosperity, of flowing energy, of health, basically. And in the West, primarily because of the Judeo-Christian beliefs about them, Dragons have been seen as evil or vile, which is completely inappropriate, really, because the energy of a dragon is not that negative. There are dark dragons, don't get me wrong, but the majority of the symbology that goes with them is positive. So, symbols are used to connect us. If you see your country's flag, it's a symbol of the unity within your country. It's being a part of something bigger than you. If you see someone wearing a cross necklace, it shows that they have a Christian belief in some denomination. Masons have their rings that show their memberships and their hand gestures, which if you haven't learned them, there's a few of them you can pick up pretty easy if you just Google it, but they have some pretty unique stuff with that. Symbols can also be used to divide us, which is huge. In the United States, the elephant and the donkey are symbols that can result in some of the most bitter feuds and fights between people. And it's like you're fighting two ends of the same stick. Stop it. The swastika was actually not a evil symbol. It was bastardized by a certain group from a certain war. But the origins of it were a sun symbol. It was a power sign that's still very common in Buddhist countries. It's still very common in Native American cultures. It's very common in a bunch of different groups, but it's always a solar wheel, solar cross. There's a lot of different names, but it means a symbol of sun, of solar energy, of power, generally the masculine, not always, but it was literally hated and perverted in such a vile way by a certain group of people. Another symbol that has always been a symbol of balance and really peace is the pentacle, the five-pointed star. It has been demonized, and everyone assumes, erroneously, that it's a symbol of Satanism. But it's not. It's actually the balancing of the five elements: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit in the Western culture. In the Eastern culture, they have a different 5 elements, and I can't remember what they are right now. But we can use symbols to speak directly to our subconscious mind, and this is the important part if you're on a spiritual journey, you're working with your intuition, or if you are using that dirty word magic. It is a practice that is extremely old and is used in modern-day psychology, marketing, and a lot of hypnotherapists use symbology as well. Carl Jung, amazing, very, very complex thinker. Don't go with Freud. He's got his own mess there. But Carl Jung was super impressive to me and has a lot of good information. He wrote a book called Man and His Symbols, in which he uses different symbols to help us understand our subconscious mind, the world of dreams, some of the triggers that we have and why we respond like we do to these basically mass group symbology that we run into. Marketing is another spot where they use a lot of these old tricks and tips, and that's where understanding symbols, understanding your subconscious can help you skip over and get out of the cycle of symbols that get to your subconscious mind. But marketing uses these symbols. A hot body is a symbol of sexuality, of, ooh, I want that. And so people respond by purchasing or going after whatever it is they're seeing on the screen if there's an attractive person holding it or talking about it. A polar bear. There's one thing in particular, there's one beverage company that you say polar bear, you immediately think of it. The golden arches. Universal, worldwide, everyone knows what that means. And they trigger responses in your subconscious mind, bringing you a physical response, a physical thought pattern that's like, ooh, I want a cola, or I want a burger, fries, things like that. Hypnotherapy also uses the symbols. In a hypnotherapy session, and a lot of times, and not in the group ones, but in individual ones, they will allow you to compare the thing you're trying to get rid of, like losing weight, stopping smoking, to something that you're trying to purge. And so you bring this into an element that is symbolic, but your subconscious mind is like, ooh, I know that symbol, let's get rid of it. And so it helps you process a lot of that stuff out. And if you don't fully understand what I'm talking about, I will show you how to create some basic symbols and sigils. Sigils are ones that you create that are personal. Symbols are universal. That's how I tend to work with that out in my head. So, when you first see this symbol, what's the first thought that comes to your mind? Generally, it means money, wealth, prosperity. And I've got a bunch of these papers all over here. So if I show you this one, though, unless you study Egyptology, you probably don't recognize this one. And even if you do you know the meaning of it? It's the Eye of Ra, or I've heard other people call it the Eye of Horus, but generally it's the Eye of Ra. And that symbol is a strong symbol, get in front of the camera, of protection, of being safe, being cared for. Then we have this one. And most people, when they see a pentagram, a five-pointed star, they think of either something stellar or they think of demonic or evil, which is not true. When it's upright, it's talking about the positive energies of earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. But if you flip it around, everyone assumes that this is a symbol of Baphomet, the French goddess of destruction and chaos. Well, not exactly true, because an inverted pentagram is actually in some practices, a symbol of going inside, facing your shadow. When you look at these symbols like that and you start to understand that each one of them has a variety of meanings, it takes away that darkness from them, or it may give you a new opinion of them. Like most people, when they see an inverted pentagram, automatically think evil, it's the devil, it's the goat goddess. They assume God, it's Baphomet is a goddess. And they go on and on and on about how bad this is. But the reality is an inverted pentagram is actually telling you it's time to go inside. It's time to root through the darkness within you and purge it, which allows the pentagram to flip back up. Because if you look at Leonardo da Vinci's, I just lost the name of it, where he has the guy standing out with his arms out, you have the head, the two arms, and the two legs. So when you flip it upside down, you're actually turning yourself upside down. You're going from looking out here to looking in here. And when you do that, it really does help you purge the darkness. So in one sense, it does mean something dark, but it doesn't mean what people say it does. It's being able to look at things from an objective standpoint, and looking at the history of them changes how you respond to a lot of this stuff. So you can make your own sigils and symbols. I have a random card. I don't know why I have it. And it's surprisingly simple. So this is how I do it. This is my version of it. You can adjust it as you need be, and it depends on who you read as to really how this works. And I've read and performed and practiced several different ways of doing this, but this is the one that I find works for me. This gets you out of the conscious monkey mind, that chattery nonsense that's going on right now in your head, because we all have that. And it allows you to make a more direct contact with your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind speaks in code. It speaks in symbols. It speaks in pictures, in images, of impressions. So bypassing the conscious mind, which always likes the words, and getting behind that, you can actually cause things to shift, setting your intentions into a much more positive aspect. So I'm going to show you the two styles that I work with most commonly. One of them is with just the English language, and one of them is with the runic symbols, the Gaelic, Druidic symbols. There's a couple of books below. My favorite book, unfortunately, is out of print. Makes me very upset, because that's the one I would like to tell people about. It is the Little Giant Encyclopedia of Runes, written by the author Sirona Knight, and I absolutely love Sirona's work. But unfortunately, that particular book has been discontinued. I don't know if it'll ever come back. It makes me mad. If you can find a copy of it at a used bookstore or something, grab it. I mean, don't break the bank, but do try to grab that one. The ones that are linked in the description are a couple of ones similar to, but Sirona Knight's book was probably the best, because it gives you each of the Futhark and the runic languages, how you would say it in English. Obviously, that's where I'm at. the meanings, how to use it in divination. I'm struggling with words today. And it also went through how to use it, what it meant originally, what we use it for today, how to use it for different practices, including building bind runes and all the rest of it. The one book had everything, which is why I love that one. But the ones that I've linked below they're good. They just, to me, are not as complete as hers. So if you want to check those out, they are linked. So to start with the runes, you're going to pick your primary goal first. What is it that you are wanting to intend, or what are you trying to create? There we go, manifest. So you would go through and find the Futhark runes that match your goals. And that is a way to enhance the goal using a symbol. The Futhark is the original script, and to me, the one that holds the most power to our subconscious mind. There's people who've developed their own sets of runes today. Go back to the originals. Understand how to work with them, really develop the connection to the Futhark and the original runes, and then you can start to understand how to build more. Like I said, what I'm giving you is a very simplified version of it, but you can get really complex with the runes. And I recommend getting yourself a set of them and start to practice with them as soon as you can, just like any other divination tool, so that you can start to make that intuitive leap, so that you can start to make those connections and really build on that knowledge. So back to the example. I'm using the term prosperity. So if you can get your goals down to 1 or 2 words for the runes, is the best option. So I go through and I find the runes and their meanings that match the prosperity aspect. So I have chosen for this one Fehu, and Thurisaz, I always mess these up, for protection, and it helps to support your goal. Gebo, which is the X here, it is to bring gifts and energy exchange, because everything is energy. Algiz, to enhance, to lend power, and to please the fates. You don't want them angry at you. And with this card, still I'm super advanced here. I don't have all the fancy stuff yet. I'm learning, trying. You can build a symbol however you choose. And so this sigil, written in the deep black down here at the bottom, or the bolded black, is one that I have used for meditative focuses. You can make it into gold ink to really bring that prosperity aspect home, or you can use just black ink. It's whatever you have available to you. And so that's how you build a runic sigil, or a bind rune, because you're binding the runes together. That's one version. There's some really complex ones where you start getting into the Ogam rings and Ogam script, and you tie that to the runes. It gets really complicated. You get a lot more out of it because you're putting more into it, but you have to understand an entirely separate language. So start with one and work on from there. So this is the other version, which is just using American English, the 26 letters of the alphabet. So, and then I'll explain how to work with these new runes and new symbols, sigils that you've made. So write a simple phrase in the now moment using all capital letters. You'll understand why I say that here in a minute. For now, you want to write it out in just one big run-on sentence. I am in a loving relationship. All capitals, short, to the point, but written in the current moment. So it's now. Now, once you have that written out, you can go through and cross off any letters that duplicate, which breaks it down to this mess of lines and letters. So it leaves you with a jumble, totally chaotic, totally random. But you should have at least 3 letters, but you don't want more than 10. You get into more than that and it gets complicated, so you want simple and something you can be creative with. That's your goal with making these. And now you can take those letters, which are the ones I have here, MVRESHP, and you can rearrange them, redraw them, build on top of them. You can flip them back and forth. It doesn't matter at this point, because what you're trying to do is build a symbol that triggers your subconscious. So really let your intuition guide you on building this. And this is going to resonate stronger with your subconscious mind when you do that. So this is what mine turned out with, for I am in a relationship. You can see some of them standard letters, but it's kind of just a jumble. And once you have that base symbol, you can add your artistic flair to it. You can draw like fleur-de-lis around the outside of it. You can draw the acid rains. You can squiggle it, but have that as your focus in the center of it and build off of that, so that you really are triggering your subconscious mind to pick that out of the picture and set it in. And so once you have your sigil, whether it's the English language, using the runes, or however you've built your sigil, you'll want to draw it on a clean sheet of paper. So once you get done, you don't want to use this as your meditation guide. That's just junk. So this is for your notes, put it in your journals, but draw that symbol again onto something clean so it's nice and clear, like, and I love cards for this because this is an easy way to store them, but draw it out so it's just plain. Nothing else on it, just that symbol. Sorry, gotta find my notes. And you can draw this cleaned up version on a note card that has the color. You can buy colored note cards, or you can just use a sheet of cardstock paper that's colored to match your intention. You can also use ink to match your intention. For the prosperity rune one, I would probably use gold or green paper with gold or black ink, depending on what I was doing. For the love one, I would almost always use pink paper or red paper for your background, and then I would write in red, or if I didn't have anything else like silver or gold, I would use black ink to put it onto the red. And so once you have it completed, once you have all your symbols on there and you've added whatever embellishments that you've chosen, like the prosperity one, you could write around like the money signs, the dollar signs, the whatever other symbols that you see as emphasizing that prosperity that you're looking for. You can charge it with Reiki energy. If you do another form of healing energy, you can charge it with that. The other option is, and this is, if you're around the time of the full moon, use this one. But place it in the light of the full moon. Put it in there just as the moon's rising. Take it out before the sun comes up, so that it has nothing but lunar energy, because it really taps into your subconscious mind. And so by charging it in the moon, you're actually charging it to your subconscious directly. So, and once you have it charged, turn it over. Don't look at it. Put it in your meditation space, put it in your journal, and ignore it. Leave it alone. Do not even think about it. If you can, find a book or something every time you think about it, so that you're not putting energy towards it. And do this for a minimum of 24 hours. If you can leave it alone for 7 days, that's actually a better option. The longer you leave it, the more your subconscious mind has time to digest it. So, and it's not easy, trust me, but do it. This is a good way to not look at it. And once you get done with that period of time, 24 hours or 7 days, however long you can stand it, then use it as a meditation focus. So you can set it up in front of you, like you're meditating and it's right here, and keep your eyes open and stare at the sigil and allow to go through your meditation process, but keep that as your focus. So instead of closing your eyes and going inside, you're keeping your eyes in that lazy period, but you're looking at the symbol. And allow it just to fill up your visible eyes, allow it to fill up everything in your mind. So it's actually kind of better to do this in a darkened room where you have light coming from behind you onto it. So that is like your focus. And where am I at here? Sorry. And eventually, as you're focusing on it and you're allowing it to really settle into your subconscious mind, your eyes will eventually close. It's just a nature of the beast type of a thing. And when you do, allow that symbol to take on the shape in a three-dimensional form. And it sounds weird, but when you focus on a symbol like this, it actually will start to flesh itself out and will become basically a three-dimensional sigil. And so once you get to that point, focus on the sigil. Do not think about your intention. Only be observing the sigil. Observe its shape, observe its color, observe how it's changing within your meditation state. And then once you've completed, just keep focusing on that symbol. You'll come to a point where your body's like, okay, we're done. Your subconscious mind's like, I got this. And you'll feel like almost like you're being pushed out. Allow yourself to come out of the meditation, and then place it down, face down again, or cover it when you're not meditating. Just that way, it's keeping it into that intuitive state. It's keeping it subconscious. It's keeping it as an intention. Because if you stare at the symbol for too much, it loses its energy and power because it's supposed to be working with your subconscious. The more you look at it, the more your conscious monkey mind wants to take over, and that's not going to help you manifest. So when you're done at that point, you can do this every day for a lunar cycle, 28 days. You can do it every day for 7 days. But generally, you want to do this on a daily basis for at least 7 days. 28 is the max that I would ever do it personally, because that really is about the length of time your subconscious mind is going to hold that as an intention before they start messing with it. And it's not messing bad, it's just you start to get bored. And that's why you don't want to do it for too long. Use that exact symbol for too long. So once you get it into your subconscious mind, you don't want your conscious mind to get in the way. So you want to leave it there. That's why you only want to do this for 7 to 28 days. And then you put it away. Don't think about it. Don't acknowledge it. Put it in your journal. Close the journal. Don't look at it. After a period of time, usually 3 months to 6 months, if you feel like you want to do it again or you just want to kind of give it a boost, then you can go through and do another 7-day cycle of it or however of the meditation with it. But you don't want to do this continuously. Like I said, you'll eventually start to get bored. Your subconscious mind gets bored just like your conscious mind does. But you don't want to consciously think about it while you're not in your meditation space, so you don't rob basically the energy and the I just lost the word and I didn't write it down. Momentum of what you're trying to build. And that's like when you start, oh, well, I want prosperity, but I got this new bill, or I want that perfect relationship, but I don't feel like I'm physically there, or whatever it is. But you don't want that getting in the way. So you want to only use this during the meditation space. Another way of doing this, if you don't have the time, and this happens, to meditate on it every day, oddly enough, put the symbol under your bed. If you have a box spring and a mattress, slide it between the two on your side, and you don't even have to see it at this point, because you've built the intention, you've built the symbol, you've built the manifestation that you're wanting to create. It's already in your subconscious. Using the other tools are ways to support and boost it, but you can do something as simple as placing it underneath the mattress and in between the mattress and the box springs. If you live alone, you can, stick it under your bed. That way it's still there, your subconscious knows it's there, and it's still working with the energy that you've put into it. And if you think that sounds a little bit strange, it's not really, because quantum physics goes along with this concept of observation is the manifestation, but the observation is done primarily through the subconscious, not the conscious. So when you really start to tap into it at that respect, you've put the image into your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind knows that symbol's there and knows that when you go to bed, it's time to go to work. And so it's a way to still develop that meditation stage, still build that manifestation, but you don't have to do it in the physical world through active meditation every time. So I hope that gives you a little bit of a basic understanding, not too chaotic, of what symbols are and how commonplace they really are. and how easily it is to trick the subconscious mind into responding to those symbols. Like I said, if you think of a polar bear and a beverage, it's pretty easy to come up with that one. You think of red and white and a certain holiday coming up here shortly, because this is recorded in November, you'll start to get those ones as well. Your subconscious mind holds a massive amount of power. We've been taught to ignore that because reasons. We won't go into that. But using symbols and creating your own sigils are ways to activate that subconscious mind and bring it back into a more working for you state than versus working against you. You want it working with you as much as possible. So, like I said, this is a very brief introduction because there's a lot you can go into with this. And for the purposes of this video, I linked books on the runes below because that's kind of the focus of this one, is learning how to tap into that subconscious mind, and using an ancient language or lettering system like the runes is a powerful way to start experiencing the symbols, how to create them. And it's easy to work with them because they're all angles. It's not like American English where we have like swooshes and cues and all that fun stuff. The runes are very cut and dry, very static. It's a lot easier to build your first sigils that way. So if you have any questions or comments, you can drop them in the comment section below. I do respond to everything. If you like this type of video or you like this video, go ahead and like it. Hit that subscribe button or the follow button, depending on which platform you're on. And I will talk to you guys in the next video. And I might have a little bit of a surprise coming up in the next week or so. I haven't got everything tied up, but it's coming. So I will talk to you guys later.